A crisis looms in a nation where the dream of home ownership once thrived. Skyrocketing prices, soaring rents, and a growing divide between supply and demand. Families across the country are feeling the weight of an unyielding challenge. But amidst this crisis, there is hope. I discovered a tweet by Kevin Erdmann highlighting a positive development in the U.S. housing market, which immediately caught my interest. Those familiar with our channel will recognize this name. Kevin Erdmann is a senior affiliated scholar at the Mercatus Center at George Mason University. He's published 2 books on housing finance, land use restrictions, and monetary policy. Erdmann shared a casual tweet delivering positive news on the current housing market, and it made me think. In fact, I've been chewing on this statement for several weeks because I felt compelled to delve deeper into the data for a more thorough analysis. Today's video presents my deep dive into Erdmann's tweet, revealing a less optimistic U.S. real estate market outlook. Let's begin with Erdmann's graph of new privately owned 5-unit housing units under construction and completed. The graph depicts construction activity for new privately owned housing units in buildings with 5 units or more since the 1960s. The red line represents the total number of completed units, while the blue line represents the total number of units currently under construction. Erdmann's optimism stems from a compelling reason. The demand for additional housing units is significant, and we are currently witnessing a 60-year high in the number of units being constructed. The logic behind this observation is straightforward and logical. However, I couldn't resist the urge to dig deeper into the matter. Erdmann's graph illustrates the construction activity within a specific housing market segment. Given the prevailing concerns of affordability and supply, it's unsurprising to witness a growth in activity within the multifamily segment, which typically yields housing units at a lower per-unit cost. However, when we broaden our perspective to encompass the entire market, the question arises, to what extent does this segment contribute? If you're a longtime subscriber, then you know I often discuss home affordability because it is the biggest real estate crisis of our lifetime, and we need solutions today. If you're not a subscriber, please click the thumbs up like button and subscribe now so that you get all my new content when it is fresh. If you really want to know what's going on in housing, to see and hear the data explained, to evaluate the facts and ignore the hype porn that is so prevalent online, then subscribe now and I'll keep you in the know. Rather than focus on multifamily homes, this graph examines all new privately owned housing units under construction and completed. Upon examining this graph, a couple of observations immediately stood out. Firstly, the gap between the number of units under construction, and that's the blue line, and the number of completed units, and that's the red line, appears relatively narrow, indicating that the significant disparity observed in the previous graph may have a smaller impact than anticipated. Secondly, and positively, the overall number of units under construction encompassing all unit types is also experiencing a 60-plus year high. But there's still more to learn from this. Gaining insight from this graph demands exceptional analytical skills and a keen sense for data interpretation, so I wanted more clarity, some long-term trends that could show how things have changed. I have extracted the data from this graph to evaluate the 1-year and 10-year trends, replacing the actual data with average values for these respective periods. This approach clears the graph of complexities and facilitates a more accessible analysis. In this graph, the blue lines represent a 1-year trend, displaying the monthly average over a period of 12 months. Conversely, the red lines indicate a 10-year trend, illustrating the monthly average across 120 months. The dashed lines track the units under construction, while the solid lines indicate the number of completed units. Among the numerous visuals I've examined over the past year, none captures the essence of the question, why are home prices and rents soaring? Quite like the depiction of the solid red line. It reveals a significant decline in completed housing units, reaching record low levels despite a slow but continuous growth in the U.S. population. Between 1970 and 2007, U.S. homebuilders completed 1.55 million housing units on average each year for a span of 38 years. However, in the subsequent 16 years, that figure dropped by 34% to 1.02 million units annually. In short, we have witnessed a shortage of 534,000 housing units over the past 16 years, resulting in an estimated deficit of 8.54 million homes. The reason behind the unavailability of affordable homes is clear. The rate at which we construct housing units fails to match the pace of population growth in the U.S. We have to acknowledge that home affordability is a national problem with a local solution. The evidence presented in this analysis raises concerns about affordable housing in the United States. Despite Erdmann's positive news of increased construction in the multifamily segment, a deeper examination reveals a narrower gap between completed and under construction units. Moreover, the long-term trends indicate a significant decline in completed housing units over the years, exacerbating the shortage of homes. To address this issue and ensure affordable housing for all, individuals must get involved with their local politicians and make their voices heard. Attend meetings where the NIMBYs fight against developers and voice your concerns that we're not building enough homes. We can influence change in our communities by advocating for policies prioritizing responsible development and affordable housing and urging lawmakers to act. Let us engage locally and emphasize the importance of affordable housing in our neighborhoods. Together, we can work towards creating a more equitable housing market that meets the needs of everyone. If you want to understand why homebuilders have slowed new home construction throughout the U.S., check out my recent video in the top left corner of your screen. To see my latest housing market update, you can click on the box below it. Please remember to like this video, check out the links below it, and subscribe to our channel so that you never miss anything.